Above their heads, stealing for all to see. El Cachorro, El Cachorro. There's a dawn superheroes here today for you and me. El Cachorro, El Cachorro.
Hello, Cachorrites, and I was just saying, gee, I wonder if there's something we can make a video about, you know? Did anything big happen or something? Still got my gold, but we're dealing with it. Yeah, it's time for the Godzilla Minus One review. I'd love to set this up with a lot better, more stuff, but I do have a busy weekend, so we're just going to do it, record it all one take here at a late night, and get it out here for everybody. The short, non-spoilers part here at the beginning here. Go see this movie. It is a cinematic masterpiece. The best movie I've seen of the year. This is easily going out as one of my top Godzilla movies of all time. Whenever I make my tier list, I mean, this is the closest to the 1954 original they have ever done. This movie is a masterpiece. It may have some slight flaws, which we'll talk about, and maybe it's 9.5 to 10 for me here. It's like, do I want to go give it that straight 10? I mean, there's maybe a few things that you can nitpick on, but it's an amazing movie. The visuals are amazing. The music is amazing. The tone, amazing. The plot is really freaking good. Really strong storylines. Good characters. There's a character arc. Legendary. There's a character arc. That's how you write a character. Everything. The story itself is all like grounded. It's no crazy. No underwater subway tunnels from Miami to Hong Kong. Well, look, I love the legendary movies, but you guys went a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in that last one. This movie is super grounded, super dark tone. It feels good. I mean, this movie just feels like it's just a good grounded story. The design, Godzilla looks great. I like this design. There's some homages to the original movie, as well as, you know, maybe some bits and parts from some other ones. And I mean, this director, where is he? How did I lose it? Takashi Yamazaki. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Thank you. You created a masterpiece. This is amazing. And I hope you do more. I really do. I'd love to see where you can take this character. I don't know. But, yeah, the basics is... so I guess we'll get to the flaws. So there is some overacting. There's some of the acting is a little comical. I personally believe this is common and normal acting in Japanese cultures. I think it just looks a little quirky to us in another country, because I've seen this kind of stuff in other Japanese movies. So, but it does stick out a tad. The CGI is really good. There are parts where it's not as strong, but this movie had estimated between $15 to $30 million budget. Most people go with 15, but there's reports supposedly that it was higher than that. But it was still a very low budget movie. compared to our standards, what we're used to. So, for the most, the CGI to me was not a problem at all. Yes, I know some people will probably can nitpick it more than I would. So I do understand that might be its weak spot. I personally had no problem with that. I thought it looked beautiful. I thought Godzilla looked beautiful. A lot of good stuff. The destruction and the fighting stuff he did was, I thought, looked great. But I'll acknowledge it for those people that are just going to be too nitpicky. It didn't take me out of the. I didn't break my immersion at all. Maybe, and there's a few maybe quirky parts with the story that didn't make a lot of sense. There, I'll give you those. But we go back into the good. The movie is dark. It's depressing. But it has an uplifting message. So we have a character arc with a story with the main character. We have a overall message in the story as well, which is common for a Godzilla movie. Oh my God, there's messages. It's kind of talks about the way Japanese culture worked at World War II, and has a little change of how to get, they're coming around and realizing they want to be more. I'll talk about that more in the spoilers. So there's some inner messages. There's some storyline stuff. There's some good storyline stuff. This movie has a good story to go with big monster destroy stuff, and you get just enough of Godzilla to give you that. He's where he shows up where you need him at. You get your intro, and then you get the scenes where he pops up, and he's the events that when they pop up, that's where he needs, not too much, not too little, just right. Great music. The music, there's some things you may know, some things are new. But the music sets the tone so well. It's perfectly done. The visuals, they do a really good job of making the movie feel like the 1940s. It gives it it has a good classic feel to it. Then obviously the destruction scenes are amazing, and they look outstanding as well. So as I said, the tone, the plot works. It's a strong plot. The big thing at the end is not some, like I said, they stay away from the craziness of Godzilla. We don't get time traveling or aliens or super scientific devices like oxygen destroyers and maser tanks or the black hole guns or some of the other crazy Godzilla fighting weapons we've had in the past. It's a grounded story, and it's plausible as their final attack actually is grounded in science. For non-spoilers, I'm about to say that's pretty much it. I think the actors were done very good. The male and female lead were very likable characters. You felt the torment of the male character. The kid was cute. Then the bunch of tag team buddies around him I thought were really solid. And so yes, go see the movie. Support this movie. This is my best movie of the year. Easily. I don't even have to really think about it. I'm honestly can't even think of a movie that even comes close. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was pretty good. I liked it. There's some movies I liked, but I wouldn't even put them this high. To be fair, I don't remember if any of my YouTube videos have a movie over 8 that I went over 8 on. And I'm like pushing 10 here. As for Godzilla movies, like I said, I've got to make that. I was going to start making that tier list video before this came out, but I didn't get to. I feel like this is definitely pushing into the top 5 easily. It's just how high up do I want to go? You're fighting yourself. He's like, I just saw the movie, so I might be biased a little. I'm going to see this tons of times, trust me. But it's like, how up the list do I go, but it's becoming my new favorite Godzilla movie. It's close. There's traditional Godzilla. It's better than all the MonsterVerse stuff. I mean, those are fun movies, yes, and I have no hate towards those movies. One of them is really high up on my list, and so I've totally enjoyed all of them for reasons. We'll save for that tier list video when I make it sometime. But yeah, this is up there. Go see it. It's a perfect Godzilla movie. It's a great just movie, period. Like I said, this is definitely one of the top movies of the year. Oh yes, I know. I didn't see Oppenheimer yet. I'm gonna watch it on Vudu. I can't imagine me saying I'm going to enjoy that movie more. I get it's a great movie. I'm sure it's a great movie. When I see it, I'm sure I'm going to find it to be a great movie. I just feel like to me it might not be the most exciting movie for me. I could be wrong on that. We'll see when I get around to it. But I mean, if that's probably definitely in the Oscar talk, what's the other one that everyone raves about? Killers of the Flower Moon. This movie should be in Oscar's Best Picture. I think they'll hate on it because it's a giant monster movie and that doesn't get any respect at all. But it deserves it. There's the overlying storylines and allegories on Japanese culture is great, and then you throw a monster on top of it. Great movie. Go see it. And now we're going. Here on. Spoilers. There's the conversion of the spoiler mode. Godzilla Crossing. This is one of the best atomic breaths I've ever seen. The look of Godzilla. Let's go ahead and we'll bring out a few visuals. This is the background on my phone, by the way. Get Marvel Strike Force out of there. That's how much I love this background. I made my background on my phone. This picture's so badass. So, we start off our main character, which is Kuchi. Which I'm not sure. I don't recognize any of these actors from anything. I'll try to see if I know if anyone's been in anything before. But Kuchi is a Japanese pilot. He's landing his plane, and as soon as it pops up, says Odo Island. I'm like, oh, nice, Odo Island. Bring back Odo Island. So you knew something was going to have to happen when they land on Odo Island. So they're checking out his plane for faultiness, and then the main mechanic guy, where are you? Susaki Takayama. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not great at pronouncing those things. Says, hey, so what's up, man? Supposedly these two characters knew each other from somewhere. And he tells me he's a kamikaze pilot. Which, for those not history buffs, those were pilots whose main job, they would go out and attack U.S. forces, and then they'd crash their plane into U.S. warships. They sank a ton of U.S. warships doing that. And that was a Japanese thing, is, hey, your job is to go kill yourself for our country. Because that's how that country worked. That's what they did back then. So he's like, oh, one of those. Well, we couldn't find anything wrong with the plane. And he's like, what are you implying? So kind of getting off that, yeah, and you kind of see his mannerism and stuff. And he says something when he first lands. He cowered out. He cowered out of doing the kamikaze run, and he said there was something wrong with the plane. So he's hanging out by the dock, by the seaside, and all these dead fish start floating up. That was weird. Then we switch to night, and the siren starts going off. And there's a creature. They turn on a spotlight, and we get a version of Godzilla. He's got the spikes, but he looks more T-Rexish in the face, more dinosaur-like, and obviously not small. And obviously from the trailers, so I was like, all right, okay, so we're doing a Godzilla already exists, but this is like the Godzillasaurus, which was from we got that in Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, with the time traveling stuff like that. There was a Godzillasaurus on an island that saved some Japanese troops from American soldiers, and it was ended up being what became Godzilla when it got hit by nuclear radiation. So he's there. So that's really cool. I liked that they started off with this version of it. So I liked how they started off with this. And since Zoto Island, so that's why somebody's like, the natives here have a mythic legend for this thing. It's Godzilla, and that's how you get. So we got the name. So they kept Odo Island as what gave him his name, Godzilla the name, which is how the 1954 movie worked as well. Perfect homage, perfectly done. Loved it, absolutely loved that. So all the go hide her, and they try and tell the kamikaze guy to go jump in his plane and use your gun to shoot him, because your gun, your gun can take him down. Because kamikaze pilot. So once again, they want him to go save them all, but pretty much risk his life and could die in the process. It's like, hey, you could go die. So he sneaks to his plane, and as Godzilla walks in front of him, he chickens out again. And then one of the guys freaks out, shoots Godzilla, and then Godzilla killing all the mechanics, except for our hero and the main mechanic. They survive. But then they you're a chicken, blah, 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 blah. So we get this dark scene where they move back to the mainland, Ginza, and it's just in ruins. Well, it's just I guess, suburb of the city where most of the people live is completely destroyed. Everybody's pretty much dead. He runs into his neighbor. Her kids are all dead. She tells him his parents are dead. I mean, just the depressedness. And first I was like, wait, how are you alive? You were a kamikaze pilot. Oh, you're a disgrace. How dare you? You're the reason we lost, and you're the reason my kids are dead. Because that's how that culture worked. If you didn't do your job, you were disgraced. So this dude's got some serious PTSD going. And guilt. Then there's people chasing a woman, calling her a thief, and he tries to block her path, and she pushes this bundle into his hands and takes off running past him. Ends up being a baby. So he's taking care of the baby, waiting for her to come back. He goes to put the baby down and leave, but then he couldn't walk away. He knows it wasn't right, so he picks it up, starts walking away, and then the girl pops out. She was hiding the whole time, waiting for him to get away from the main center of the area where people would see her, so she could get the baby back. And she's like, why didn't you leave him? He's like, I couldn't leave him somewhere like that. And she kind of says, obviously she has nowhere to go, so she kind of picks up that this guy is someone that cares, and she could get him to take care of her, sort of kind of way, like, this guy's, he's a good guy. She follows him back to his place. He just gives him food, says, hey, you can't leave, you can't stay here. And then he turns his back to him, turns around, they're already sleeping. So they kind of worm their way in. We do find out that her parents are also dead and told her to live. The kid's not hers. Its parents also died, and they begged her to take care of it as their dying breath. So we have this Maytag family, but they're not really a family. They're all just survivors who lost their parents in the war. So we kind of get them. We kind of get some time lapses of them getting back on their feet, trying to survive together, and the neighbor becomes nicer and starts helping out with the little one because she raised children but lost them. So it shows him starting doing better. Well, so it gets to the point where he finally finds a job, and it's a job with some other ex-military. It's a government job that pays really well, but their job is to go disarm sea mines. So it's a dangerous job where they have to go out and just take out and destroy mines that were left in the ocean. but it pays well. And so we get the first scene where they go out, and it's supposed to be a special ship, and it's being a nice little gag. It's like this rickety-dink wooden ship. But then you find out, hey, it's a wooden ship because the mines are magnetic. So yeah, you have the whole little scene where they start, how they do their mine sweeping. And then we have more time lapses showing them, them starting to rebuild the home, buy a motorcycle to get by on, and that they're still in this unit as a family, but they're not really a family. But he's taking care of them with the money he's making and raising the girl. Then we get the flashback, and then we get the scene that we're waiting for. So as we're doing the little time jump in, then we go to 1946, Bikini Atoll, and you're like automatically moving what that's got to be. It's the nuclear bomb test at Bikini Atoll. Oh, before we get that, one thing I will say so they covered the war stuff. They talked about air raids and stuff like that destroyed everything. They did not actually mention the nuclear bombs that got dropped. I thought that was interesting that they avoided that. I guess they don't want to take shots too much at the American audience as well. So hey, look what you guys did to us. So they did steer away from that. So Godzilla had nothing to do with those two bombs. We see the nuclear bomb go off. Shows the faraway picture of the nuclear bomb explosion, Bikini Atoll. Then you have this real close up on Godzilla. This fire stuff burning, and you hear his roar, showing this is where he gets his nuclear bomb radiation treatment. So then we start seeing scenes of like these reported first starts in American ships being attacked by this giant sea creature. And they discover it's moving its way to Japan. But they can't do anything because they don't, because of the relations with them in Russia. They don't want to. So they kind of push off things. So the Japanese government sends our two fishermen boats out to this destroyed American warship. That's obvious. Then we get a couple jokes like, what could have done that? A giant shark or whale? And then the one guy's like, that was but they're like, a creature definitely did this. The guy's like, it's Godzilla. Having his Godzilla flashbacks, and we've had some see where he had a dream where he's back on the island, stuff like that. He's been haunted by nightmares and stuff. And then it's when the scientist guy in the boat's like, yeah, they sent us out here to stall. Or, we see him, we're supposed to attack him and keep him busy because they have a giant warship on its way. Just try and keep him from getting to the mainland. So first, like, wow, we can't. How are we going to fight him in this little boat? But then the main captain of the boat's like, well, it's our. Hey, I don't like the orders, but we do what we do. So there's two boats. We usually only hang out on this boat, but they have a sister boat that's partnered with them. We don't ever really meet those characters. And also, Godzilla just comes out with the ship in his mouth, goes back in, and that's when they're kind of like, yeah, screw this shit, we're running. So that's when we get the scene trailer, which I love this scene here because this is something we've never really had in a Godzilla movie. So he's chasing the boat, and then you got the whole part where the head comes above the water and stuff like that. It's a completely new type of scene for Godzilla. Sorry, the cold gets my voice a little, my throat dry. So they're running, and they do have two mines on boat that they're supposed to use to fight with him as well as their gun. So they drop the first mine, because first he's chasing with his head underwater. Drop the first mine, blow it up, and he pops up. Next thing, then out of the smoke, he comes with his head out of the water chasing him. So the other guy, they go to drop, they start shooting at him with the gun, does nothing. So they thought to drop the mine in his mouth and blow it up. So they drop the second mine, goes in, floats into his mouth, but he breaks the cord, so they can't detonate it. So the guy shoots it and blows it up. And it's really cool because we get this whole really Godzilla out of the smoke. Godzilla's face looks dead, and his face is all like bloodied, and his eyes got kind of busted, and all of a sudden like it starts instantly healing. So we have Regenerator G1, I guess you could call it, from Godzilla 2000 there. So he's got regenerative properties. So this is where we get the traditional Godzilla raises up standing in the water, which we've never understood how this actually works. How can Godzilla stand like this out of the water? When, I mean, he must have some really good doggy paddling feet. So I've never quite I've never think anyone's ever explained how that works. So he's getting ready to attack him. All of a sudden he starts, seeing him get shot by the giant battleship arrives, and they're shooting his main cannons at him. And this is really cool because typically we had Godzilla, he just shoots, boom, boom, boom. Oh. Well, this is with the CGI. You see him get. They shoot him and he gets damaged. He takes damage. He goes underwater. Then all of a sudden he comes back up and swims instantly to the boat, pops out of the water, starts attacking it. Then they shoot him again. Goes underwater. All of a sudden you get the blue glow. You just see a blue light shoot up, and then the ship just goes boom. And then Godzilla swims off. Doesn't chase after the other boat. So that's our first full Godzilla fight scene, which was really, really good. The little boat outrunning him is kind of far-fetched, but it works. Yeah. Damn. Sorry, it's late. I got out of the movie after 11, so I'm just now recording this at, I don't even know what time it is. Midnight, 1 o'clock, 12:30. So when the second mine went off, the main character get a head injury, gets knocked out. He wakes up in a hospital, and they pretty much say that the government's covering it up. They don't want to tell the people. They don't want to cause a panic. So there's no evacuations. There's nothing going on. They're just keeping it hush hush. So another shot, at the Japanese government. So here's where we finally get the scene, though, where he opens up to the girl, Noriko, about his burdens. These kamikaze pilots that chickened out, the first Godzilla attack, the second Godzilla attack, and how this is haunting him. Before this, we had a scene where his boat crew did come over for dinner after he fixed up his house, and they all pretty much thought this was his wife and kid. Where they all pretty much said, "No, we're not married. This isn't technically our kid. He just living there." And they're all like, "Well, why don't you just marry her?" Because there's really like feelings between the two, but they just kind of keep this whole platonic relationship, just living together thing. So yeah, then we get a scene where he comes home and she's got this fancy new dress on and she's got a job in the city, so she's gonna start working to earn money, and kind of hinting that she's trying to get on her own feet so she can move out of his life, move out and let him get on with his life, because it doesn't feel like he doesn't feel like he wants her there. Which is where you can kind of see, and this is where you first get, he definitely shows feelings that he doesn't like, that's not what he wanted, but he says, yeah, I get it. Because he's still a coward. This leads, so like I said, the story for the humans is very, really solid story. Like, this guy's gotten over this, but this all leads up to our Godzilla landfall in the city of Ginza. This scene is amazing. So everything looks good. So they start ringing the sirens, telling everybody to evacuate, and of course our characters are on the radio and realizes that's where the girl's at. She went to work. So you first see him kind of walk by. Then you find our female character, Noriko's on a train going by. And then all of a sudden, that's where he throws a train car. I don't know what it was. He threw a boat or a train car. Lands on the tracks, blocking the train. They had to slam the brakes on. She turns away, and this is, you see in the trailer where she gets walking by. Is that Godzilla? This is where we cut the Godzilla, the full shot of him walking. And boom, in pops Cachorrro Fukamami's... I just lost his name. But the famous Godzilla March music. That starts playing, epically awesome. So we see him. He goes and he grabs the train, and then we get another homage scene where he picks up the train by his mouth, just like the original movie. So he's got the one train car in his mouth. Some other ones are dangling. She's in one. It's dangling and it starts falling apart. So you're like, okay, what's going to happen here? She's stuck in this train. Then at one point, he's kind of walking with the train in his mouth, trying to crunch on it. And he walks over some giant thing of water, and that's when she lets go and falls into the water. Let me see. I mean, I can't even talk about it. Another cool scene with reporters on a roof, like reporting the incident as he's talking about him destroying stuff, and he starts walking right by him. And they're commenting like, "Oh, he's walking towards us. He's walking right by. I can see his head." And then he kind of brushes the building, and it starts collapsing, and they fall to their death. This reminded me of the scene in the first movie with the reporters on filming the action on Tokyo Tower. As Godzilla got closer, and they stayed there, kept reporting on him until he got to the tower and kills them. They fall to their death. That they died for more of the reporters dying for their job. Reminded me of that scene. So we get to this. He's like walking, chasing people down the road, and then Noriko is just like kind of like walking in shock. She falls out. She gets knocked over, and she's like looking up, and that's when our hero comes in, grabs her, somebody because he found her. So, do you want to live? And they start running together. And then, as he's about to get to him, all of a sudden he starts getting shot by some tanks. And then this leads to the first full. You can start see the spikes from his tail pop up, turn blue, pop up blue. So kind of like the whole they're copying Legendary a little bit, I guess you could kind of say, with showing the blue atomic breath light up from his tail all the way up his dorsal fins. So kind of like we've seen Legendary do, but the different here though, as they light up, they would pop out, pop. I thought that was really cool. Pop all the way to the top. You see him suck in. You can see this blue glow in his mouth as he's sucking in the air. Then all the spikes pop down. He'd lean forward like that and shoot out the atomic blast. So this big blue blast, it would go just out and then boom, and explode it felt like almost like a nuclear bomb. So you see it shoot out and destroy everything, and then just where it's shooting at, just massive explosion, huge shockwaves. And to me, this is one of my favorites. It's like the best I've ever seen the atomic breath. I know a lot of people love Shin Godzilla's, which is fire, then street laser beam that could cut anything in half. Probably cut the planet in half. I was not a big fan of that. I thought that was just too over the top. This is cool. It's more, feels like just a powerful weapon. Shoots out the beam and it ends with like a giant bomb explosion. In this scene, so like I said, you see the shockwave going out. So our two main characters are standing at the crevice of two buildings. And as it's coming towards them, Noriko just pushes Kochi into the crevice between the two buildings to save him. And then you see her just get blown away by the blast. So it blows. There's a shockwave out, and all of a sudden there's a shockwave coming back in. And he comes out, and he realizes that she's dead. And Godzilla does a roar and starts walking off back to, the ocean. That's where our character's finally starting to realize he needs to, as he starts screaming and anger. And this is where he's starting to get out of his coward stage. And, this is where he's starting to build up his nerve. So we're having the character arc now. He just lost someone. He lost the girl he's been living with. Loki has feelings for, which like I said, we slightly have. They've teased it so far. So they're hanging out at the house with mourning her, and then the scientist guy says, "Hey, some of us, our citizens, are coming up with a plan because the government's too scared to do anything." So we go to a meeting, and so we get the plan. And it's got some shades that kind of remind me, because he's kind of like your Serizawa character. And there's some, some subtle little maybe reminders of the Oxygen Destroyer, but it's more simple than that. So they're saying if you have Godzilla, so they have a model in a tank floating at the top of the water, and it's so they said they have these Freon canisters that release Freon bubbles, and when they release the Freon bubbles, the model quickly sinks to the bottom. So the bubbles kind of obviously the oxygen destroyer shot off a bunch of bubbles. So their theory is if you take Godzilla quickly descending to the deepest part of the ocean, the pressure, as we've learned from submarines these days, will cause them to implode. So that's the theory. They said it straight up. I was like, well, it might not work. We don't know. So everybody's kind of like scared. I was like, well, it's not going to work. How are you going to do this? And they came up with, and they also have a counter plan. They're also going to attach inflatables that will explode and quickly raising back to the surface, causing them to decompress. So pressure, decompression. So it's a very scientific plan. So I mean, that's obviously what really happens in the ocean. Go down too fast, the pressure will crush you. Rise too fast, and you decompress and explode. So I like that. I like the plan is practical, not some super high, fancy science fiction thing. It's a practical plan. Crazy plan, but practical. So some people back out because we got families, we don't want to die, and as they say, hey, no one's, this is volunteers. So then everybody's, a bunch of other people, hey, so is there a shot we can live? Like, yeah, all right, that's better than the war, so sure. So they start prepping, and then they come up with the idea is they want our main character to have a jet. He wants a jet to use to lure Godzilla to the trench they want to sink him in. So they found this experimental jet that needs work. So he demands that he has to have the mechanic from Odo Island that survived. The main mechanic has to be the one that helps him with it because it's their battle. They have to finish their battle. So we have a little scene about him trying to hunt him down, and funny the way he does it, he puts out a bunch of pamphlets blaming the kit mechanic for what happened on Odo Island. To piss him off so he'd come out of hiding and attack, come after him. Cute little fun scene. So meanwhile, then they also find out they do pick up things and feel like, let's say Godzilla's on his way back. So they fix up the boat. So his plan is, he makes a plan with the mechanic. Hey, I'm ready to die. Fix my plane so it works, and I want you to load it with bombs. So I can kamikaze in the Godzilla's mouth. Because that's where he said the only way to hurt him is from the inside. And one of the other guys that's working on other planets kind of keeps hitting that. He's like, you're not trying something stupid, are you? You're not trying something stupid, are you? So he's kind of suspicious of him. So the day they go to launch the plan, he has this cute moment the night before with the little girl. But he leaves a little message with her as he leaves. And then you see her later with the aunt chick, rather than the neighbor. She reads his message saying, here's money to take care of her. So as they're getting ready to launch the boats that they were going to use to try, because their goal was to lower Godzilla to the deepest part, and then they're going to wrap two boats, kind of drive circles around him to wrap these things around him, the bubble machines around him, as they're playing. But Godzilla is faster than they thought. So he actually comes on shore, but he said, hey, well, we think we got to stick to the plan. We take the boats out and get ready and rely on Kochi to lure him to us. So then we get this cool little scene where Kochi flies in and starts pestering Godzilla, and you have all these cool near misses. And I mean, this Godzilla trying to catch this plane is some awesome shots. Yeah, they might be a little stereotypical, but he's trying to bite at it, swipe at it, and all this stuff, and the guy just keeps barely surviving, and finally gets to the point where Godzilla's pissed off and starts chasing him. So they have 4 boats altogether. So they start to say, go into position, and you see the boats start to move. And as they're getting lured, as Godzilla kind of sees the boats coming, He starts firing up his atomic breath. And you see his eyes say, "Yeah, attaboy." Shoots it, hits these two boats, pretty much blowing them up. Then we find out those were decoy boats. The real boats were further back, just waiting for him to get him these. Everybody's like, well, we can't manage to take on that breath. Like, he can't use it for a while. We have our moment. So the plan was to get him to use his atomic breath so he wouldn't have it. He'd have to recharge. So they start doing the rap thing. It's a really cool little scene where they're doing that. And then he starts he's recharged. He starts to get ready to do the breath again, and that's when they explode it. And they quickly sink him. But he's not dead. So he's like, all right, plan B, raise him back up. As he's raising up, though, he's able to chew off the inflatable thing from around him. So it only gets halfway up. So he's recovering. So they decide they're going to drag him to the surface. But he's too heavy. But all of a sudden, all the tugboats and all the other people all come to the rescue. And they all start pulling Godzilla together and pulling back to the surface. But he's still not dead. He's beat up. He's all damaged. He looks zombie-ish. But then he starts doing his atomic breath again. This is where this cool scene. All the music goes completely silent. You see them all getting ready. They all know they're about to die. And of course, here comes our fighter plane coming in right at the mouth. Arms the bomb, pulls the lever, crashes into the mouth, and then the head explodes. And then we see the guy floating. He ejected. And then comes back, shows that the pilot, the tech told him, "Here, here's an ejection seat. Live. Tired of dying." Which I forgot. There's a scene. Oh, I forgot to mention that scene. We'll get to that. There was a scene right before where they were getting ready their last night before they set out for the mission, and everybody's go spend time with their families. Like, yeah, so you're telling us to go get prepared to to say goodbye. He goes, "No, our country has always treated life so poorly, with badly armored tanks and no ejection seats and suicide bombers and kamikaze pilots." He goes, "No, no more of that. It's like, we're going to fight it. We're going to protect our country. We're going to stop Godzilla, and we're going to live." So cool moment saying like, hey, this idea of just, hey, life is meaningless. No more. Life is important. We're going to win the battle and live. So I thought, super good moment for cultural message there. So the guy ejected, obviously, so he's good. Then we see Godzilla's head's pretty much all blown up. All of a sudden, you see the atomic breath start shooting out of all different parts of his body, like blue beams shooting out, and he sinks under the water. They all give him a salute salute their showing respect to their enemy. So when they get back to land, so everybody starts coming up to him. The neighbor comes with a kid, hands him a note, and starts hitting him. Kind of make you say, okay, wait, what's going on here? He reads it, he's all shocked, and the next thing we see him run up the stairs of a hospital, and I kind of knew where this was going. And Noriko survived. She looks a little different, but she's all wrapped up, have her eyes covered, arm in a sling, maybe lost an eye. He's like, "Is your war finally over?" And he starts crying. Yes, 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 yes. So pretty much showing that they finally, because that's what he said. He wouldn't marry her because his war wasn't over. So pretty much he was too tormented to marry her. So pretty much saying, okay, now I'm ready to move on with you. And I have to see the movie again. But as she's doing that, you kind of see, because firstly when she bends down like the cradling, and starts zooming in, and you kind of, there's something on her neck. I can't make out exactly what. First, it kind of looked like it may have been hair, but that didn't make sense at all. So there's something there. I don't know what it is. I have to see the movie more to focus on that. So definitely some kind of tease there. And then we quickly get to another tease where we see just a glop of Godzilla floating towards the bottom, bleeding. And then it starts regenerating, and Godzilla's music starts playing again. So showing that he's healing. So it definitely leaves open for sequels. It's kind of wonder if they would go the Shin approach because Shin was a one-off. Could this be a one-off as well? I hope not. I hope that I would love to see this going on because I really like this Godzilla concept. I like this direction they've taken. So I definitely, I don't know how he would fight other monsters because he was, I mean, close up, he was pretty agile with his tail swipes and bunches. And there's one part in the water when the plane was swimming over where he kind of dipped down in the water and lunged himself up out of the water at it. Hand swipes and movements like that, he could do pretty good, but he's pretty, just walking, he was pretty lumbering. Very slow moving. So, very sort of Shinish. Because Shin was not very quick either. So I don't know how this one would fight other monsters too well. But I'm interested to see. Definitely wouldn't mind it. But, so that's how the movie goes. Like I said, there's some parts where the acting, where he would just overreacted, like with this crazy narratiness. The part where he kept banging his head on the table. Like I said, to me, I think that's normal in Japanese culture in their movies. I don't think that is out there for him. Maybe it's a kind of comical moment for him. It looks a little out there, more weird to us. I think to us, it's seems a little over the top. And there's like some parts where like some of the characters like he wanted to avenge her for after her death, and he's like, "Well, you should have married her. It's your fault." Guy got all mad at him for it. Like it seems like a little bit of an overreaction there, but okay. And then, like I said, their main story is the main way to fight him. I think it's cool. I like it. I do think it's kind of strange. Maybe I can see some people having problems with it, but I thought it was really cool, unique way of, and realistic. It's totally realistic because they're actually using known science to fight it, not some crazy contraption. Like I said, when he first comes ashore, we get his iconic theme. And then when they start after he does the attack on the decoy ships, and then the other two ships go for the attack, they start playing the theme again. So I thought both uses, and then obviously at the very end, I thought all the uses of that were perfectly done. Other than that, we have some like real eerie. A lot of times we get this real eerie, creepy music, which I really liked as well. Like I said, the look. We can see the Godzilla would take damage. I like the fact that he could get hurt. He wasn't like just shredding off attacks. Bomb, blew, blah, 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 nothing. This Godzilla could like take hits, could take damage. He would heal back up, obviously, but I like that he's not like fully invulnerable. Obviously, they blew up something in his mouth, take him out. So I do like how that design worked. Whew. Ugh, it's getting late, so I better wrap this up. Then no one's going to watch it this long. But yeah, this movie was amazing. So it's the closest to the 54 movie they've ever done. To me, the 54 is a cinematic masterpiece. It's a classic. It's a genre-defining movie. I mean, there were monster movies before it. I mean, King Kong obviously way before it. The Beast from 20,000 Phantoms. But I would say Godzilla is the movie that pretty much put the whole the giant kaiju genre in full force. King Kong was kind of more of a one-off thing. And there was a couple people that did some after that. But after Godzilla's, we had all the other copycats. The Gorgos and the Yongris. And so everybody wanted their own Godzilla. And the monster is really what launched the whole monster movie genre. So that movie is culturally super significant. So could this go over top of that one? That's what I gotta decide. How far up I want to bring this movie. This movie is, to me, this is a masterpiece movie. This is a cultural drama, an epic for its time. Everything works for me in the movie. The music works, the tone, the story works, the characters work, the visuals work. This is damn good movie, guys. Damn good. Go see it. And we'll wrap this up there. That's all I can say. Maybe I'll make some more videos down the road on this, but that's my recap. That's the recap review. Amazing, amazing movie. Best movie I've seen of the year. Until next time, Cachorrro out.